Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the WrestlePlug State of Wrestling Address. It's been 6 months. Fucking hell. We're busy boys. We're busy boys, aren't we? I am the king of Egyptian shithousery, the owner and proprietor of WrestlePlug, and ultimately the person that everybody hates in British wrestling more than anyone else. It is, of course, the Egyptian Death Machine, Aaron Nix. Joining me this week, just one man, I'm afraid, because Tanvir is too busy going outside Southall and beating selective ethnic minorities with his bare hands because he's an awful human being like that. And of course, Frankie T is currently in Spain chasing selective ethnic minorities. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us, of course, is the history maker, the main event, the king of hog style. Ladies and gentlemen, soon to be a multiple-time tag team champion across a multiple amount of companies. He's also one half of the current reigning and defending IWE tag team champions, what that were, and also one half of the reigning and defending Prison Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions. I have it on good authority. He'll be defending those belts against illustrious opponents in October. Some say that the equator line is the size of his hog. Some say that his penis conceals another penis. Some say that his penis spans the width and breadth of North America. Ladies and gentlemen, it is, of course, the world's largest penis, Roger Sears.
Jesus Christ. Oh, it's been a long 6 months. I've not had that intro. I've missed it.
Yeah, I've missed having an intro where people tell me how big my cock is.
Exactly, yeah.
Good shit. It's good shit. It's massive, by the way. But yeah. There's a reason that Roger Sears' wife at shows, you can't really get much of a conversation out of us. Just can't walk. Barely move. Unbelievable. So some say that actually Roger Sears' cock is so big that you could quite literally use it to propel the earth. Yeah, gravity. He's the only man I know whose cock has a gravitational pull. Now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we're catching up on a lot of things. I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that the legend Hulk Hogan passed away just a couple of weeks ago. Roger Sears, your impact, should I say, not only your opinion of Hulk Hogan in general, I guess, opinions aside. Obviously, you're a fan of old school wrestling. You watched the old school wrestling when Hulk Hogan was there, just like I did. And Hulk Hogan is inherently a part of the makeup and the setup of everything that we hold near and dear to our first beloved memories of professional wrestling. What does it mean to you for Hulk Hogan to no longer be with us? And how impactful was Hulk Hogan's legacy on your passion as a fan of professional wrestling?
It's very, very difficult to say about how I feel about him passing on, considering everything that came to light about his character towards the end. In terms of his impact, I have to be honest, I was never really a Hogan fan. When I got into it, I very quickly became a Bret Hart fan. He was my guy. I just kind of preferred that style more than what the Hulk Hogan style of wrestling was. And where I was younger, I kind of hated the fact that he just won all the time. It just kind of drove me crazy. It's weird because I didn't really start to kind of appreciate him until he actually turned heel in WCW. And that's when I started to really kind of appreciate what he brought to the table. And obviously, as I've got older, look back, I can respect everything that he did for the business. It's very difficult to know exactly how I feel about him passing now, though. It's one hand, it's sad. On the other hand, it's like, I don't want to say good riddance. That sounds a really horrible thing to say, but he really, really did kind of tarnish his legacy, didn't he?
Yeah, this is the unfortunate thing about wrestling. It's also a problem with what I call hero worshipping, god complexes. When you give people a god complex like this, they more often than not will let you down. All of my great heroes in life, I think the reason that Bret Hart always stands so beautifully for me as my all-time favorite wrestler is because Bret never really did anything bad. Like, he wasn't a bad human being. He didn't wrong people. He didn't shit in people's kit bags. He wasn't a fucking flagrant racist or a raging Republican. He's just Bret Hart. He's just a moody fucker who believed wrestling was real, essentially. But I can't hold Bret Hart accountable for his behavior because he never really did anything that awful. Much like most of the Hart family, other than maybe Jim Neidhart. The KKK flip notwithstanding, which is just awkward. But The thing is, right, it's been said ad nauseum at this point, so we won't spend too much time on it. Hulk Hogan is one of the greatest icons in the history, if not the greatest icon in the history of pro wrestling. Some people made the argument of doesn't matter if he's a good person or not, sold tickets, and ultimately this is a business. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It is. But the bottom line is that once you get past the business, especially in our day and age now, where the business is very much we can all see the fourth wall. There is no real kayfabe to speak
Yeah,
of, although we still like to try and maintain it or try and shatter people's illusions in certain ways, or kind of maintain that sense of disbelief. But Hulk Hogan was a piece of shit human being, at least for the most part of what we've been exposed to. That, by the way, being a piece of shit human being doesn't necessarily mean that you always do bad things as well. Hulk Hogan did great things, made a lot of money for charity, was very
yeah,
much into his faith. A lot of people might argue that being rampantly religious isn't necessarily a good thing. That's up for debate, and we could spend hours and not get anywhere with that debate. He was obviously very loving for the most part to his family, but no, racial controversies, political controversies, his general sort of behavior towards, the more impoverished minorities of the United States and things like that. Those are things that you can't really separate from the man, unfortunately, because he made them such an important part of his character. In the same way that people hate Tom Brady, even though he's the greatest American football player of all time. And just because he's associated with Donald Trump, at least with Tom Brady, he's a very private person. I've never caught Tom Brady on camera using the N-word so flagrantly or anything of that nature. So for me, it is devastating to the legacy of wrestling to lose an icon of that magnitude. But at the same time, frankly, it sounds very somber and very depressing to say so. Kind of impressed he made it to his 70s, especially in an era where these guys were hammering steroids, hard drugs, alcohol. They were doing things to their bodies which ultimately catch up with you a lot quicker.
yeah.
And for him to make it this far is actually quite impressive. And I know people will say, well, he said he didn't take steroids. I'm sorry. Go back and we watched our OSW review, me and my partner recently, and they reviewed WrestleMania 6, and the size of Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior going into that main event was beggars belief. And it's that thing of like, oh yeah, they look impressive. And so do their fucking
Mhm.
arteries.
Yeah,
Ludicrous. And as somebody who has, heart problems and, sort of arterial problems and blood pressure issues, who doesn't take steroids, that doesn't plan on ever taking steroids, I'm frankly impressed that he outlived pretty much all of his peers. So obviously a lot of prayers and a lot of vitamins certainly got him to a certain degree. So obviously it is very sad to lose Hulk Hogan, but at the same time, let's not act like we should have to be forced by his hardcore and most vehement fans. We should, somehow just ignore the fact that he was a piece of shit for a large portion of his older life, because he was. There's no getting around that, and there's way too much evidence to suggest that. So it is what it is. Rest in peace, nonetheless, and obviously a huge icon that will be greatly missed by millions of adoring fans. And there's no denying the very first man to bridge the gap between mainstream culture, popularity, and of course professional wrestling, which at the time was considered a bit funky. All right, let's move on to SummerSlam because that was last weekend. So I want to try and get through that. Now, Roger says, I know that you didn't watch SummerSlam as vehemently as we did. We're still psychopaths who like to stay out till 3 in the morning. Although, admittedly, it was a much more respectable 11 p.m. start and around a 2 a.m. finish, which isn't too bad. For anyone who might be able to hear potentially any voices in the background, hopefully you might not be able to, but that's Hogwarts Legacy, which is now the dominant portion of my TV. Thanks to my beautiful partner, who has chosen not to take part in this podcast, but has chosen to take part in what I believe is a 500 hour of consecutively playing Hogwarts Legacy. If you need to know anything about that game or how to complete it in any formal fashion, I highly suggest you contact Athena Ray on Instagram. Right, SummerSlam, 2 nights. First time it was 2 nights. Before we get into the results, do you think that SummerSlam should have been 2 nights? Bearing in mind they are essentially going to go forward now with SummerSlam being 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday as pay-per-view, just like they have WrestleMania. Before this, it was just WrestleMania that was 2 nights. And apparently they are looking seriously into making more pay-per-views, more PLEs, 2 nights. Do you think that this is too much? Or do you think it worked for SummerSlam?
um, I'm kind of in two minds. At first, it was like it's a special thing for WrestleMania. I've just gotten used to it being this special deal just for WrestleMania, and now they've gone, here's SummerSlam, we're going to go 2 nights, and it's part of me is actually like, you know what? It's not so bad. It's WrestleMania. There's enough of a gap. Then SummerSlam. Okay, and then they've literally come out and gone, we're going to think about doing it with some others, and I'm like, no, you leave it with those two.
There's a
It's
suggestion
going
of
to
Money in
start
the
becoming
Bank, isn't
over.
there? What do you think about Money in the Bank
Yeah,
coming to US? No need.
that's a weird one. No, I can understand if they do the Rumble. I could understand that. But past that, I'm like, I don't think anything else would need to be 2 nights. Not really, but
Saturation of
it's
content, but
money.
it's exactly. It's exactly that.
It's
Hit
that's
the
what it
nail on
is,
the head.
isn't it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we may as well talk about it now. They just signed a $1.6 billion deal with ESPN to air PLEs live on ESPN in the United States only. I don't believe that will affect outside of the United States as much because obviously we get to watch them on Netflix, which is a massive bargain for us. But obviously, like it's all about money. They made $1.6 billion just off of ESPN this week. Then they signed God knows how much of $1 billion deal with Netflix, an astonishing amount of money. And they're now part of the TKO franchise, so they're worth an estimated $9 billion, including the UFC or whatever it is. Like it's just an astounding amount of money, and you can see it, can't you, in their product as you saw on SummerSlam. The like I
Well,
thought WrestleMania was
yeah.
bad for shilling. Jesus Lord. I've never seen so many commercials. It's like the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
the halftime Super Bowl, where they
Yeah.
infamous. I think it's something like $14 million per 30 seconds of like advertising time you get with it. But this is the thing: they're able to make so much money out of all these brands, all these sponsorships. Whether we like it or not, it's a business. Fans don't get it because they're expecting to be entertained. But with entertainment comes the great responsibility of making a large amount of money through sponsorship, and WWE is doing a great
Yeah.
job of that, albeit sometimes at the detriment of the products, aka Viking Raiders coming out of WrestleMania dressed as a couple of geezers from Clash of Clans, and like, great. Yeah, as if their fucking gimmick isn't ropey enough. So SummerSlam opens up proper on night one with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso defeating Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed in 21 minutes. Obviously, we'll try and keep it relatively short, not talk about the matches ad nauseum. But one thing that stood out to me was a lot of people saying that Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker should have gone over, not Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. With Jey Uso, of course, getting a pinfall. From my perspective, it was pretty obvious that Roman Reigns went out there with the express intention of making sure Jey Uso got over just that little bit more because he took the bullet for it so that he could get the pin. Do you think that's the right decision?
I think I probably agree with the majority. They think they should have been Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed that went over. Just because they're the guys who are this like in the middle of building this faction really with Seth, aren't they? It's still very new, and it feels like you're like chopping the legs off of it by having them lose such a big match this early in. And they didn't
Yeah.
have to win it clean. They could have cheated to high heavens to win it, but it just feels a little bit like don't have them get beaten clean. I don't know. For me personally, I think they should have gone over instead.
I'm not invested enough in the product anymore to be like, fucking outraged. But at the same
Yeah,
time, I did say that. I got to be honest, Jey Uso, he's like, he kind of gives me Jake Roberts vibes in the sense of very entertaining, an incredibly unique gimmick. Crowd love him; they receive him beautifully. But his in-ring, Jake Roberts' in-ring work was good, but it was never world class. I would never watch him over. Someone said, "Would you like to watch Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel? Or would you like to watch Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk?" So, come on, you're going to pick one or the other more often than not, especially if you're more of a purist or somebody who enjoys in-ring action as much. And for me, Jey Uso just doesn't have that same level of expertise, and also his offense feels a bit wafty. And then you put him in the ring with two legit badasses, Bronson Reed, who I had the pleasure of working with on the Indies. So just incredible as Joe the Rock, and is just bigger and badder than ever he was on the Indies. And then Bron Breakker, who is legitimately primed to be the next big star.
yeah.
That you can smell it a mile off. This guy in a couple of years should be main event in WrestleMania. So it's that thing of like, does it hurt them long term? Not that much, but in the moment, I don't feel like Jey Uso and Roman Reigns needed to win, but I knew they were going over because Roman Reigns was in the match. Roman Reigns ain't jobbing in the opener of SummerSlam. Not in shots, even if he was wrestling Jesus Christ himself incarnate. It's not happening. So, no, it is what it is. This was followed up by brand new women's tag team champion Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss dethrone the Judgment Day's Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez in 30 minutes 30. New women's tag team champions. Think it's right to take the belts off them at this moment.
I mean, I guess you could see it coming a mile off. I could anyway. I think as soon as Liv got hurt, it felt like they're not going to stick with them with the belts here. I've got to be honest. I kind of like this dynamic between Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss.
Doesn't it?
I'm actually
I
kind of like it. So yeah, maybe the right decision to put the belts on them. Not that they necessarily need it, but I guess it just enables the story to continue a bit more, doesn't it, for those two, I think.
I think they have enough star power to elevate the belts a little bit more than Roxanne and Raquel do, although Raquel's work has been really good recently. I think Roxanne Perez, for me, has taken a big dip since coming up from NXT. I don't know what's happened. Like, she's one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the world, not just because she's fast, although it does happen. My missus looks like Roxanne Perez. But it's that thing of what's happening. Like, she doesn't seem to have the chemistry on the main roster that she did on NXT. Maybe it's because it's more about entertainment than it is just being a good worker. In-ring workers need that extra bit. And obviously Daniel Bryan was so special as an in-ring worker, but it wasn't until we started doing the Kane stuff and we started seeing more about, the yes and no stuff. Once we saw personality and charisma, then we were invested in this guy as a top guy. And that's what made him so special. And that's kind of what Roxanne Perez is missing a bit. I honestly genuinely thought, despite her severe injury, Liv Morgan apparently going to be out for months, I thought they might just roll her out of this pay-per-view just to kind of host Roxanne Perez. And it's like, oh, bitch, I see you, like, you're a placeholder for me, don't you forget it, kind of thing. But obviously they're going to wait for that, which is interesting. So if you're happy with a, shall we say, long-term storytelling, worked well. Charlotte and Alexa winning tag belts is inoffensive to me. I like their dynamic, like you're saying. It's nice to see Charlotte actually over. She kind of is really fucking good, but the fans just never receive her well. And Alexa Bliss has done a great job of like, hey, look, she's a human being. WWE Unreal. I don't know if you've sat down and watched that yet, but that does a very good job of kind of humanizing her a bit as well. So we'll definitely have a look at that at some point. Maybe have a little chat about that show as well. It's just quite polarizing, but also quite an interesting watch for anyone who's a big wrestling fan. Sami Zayn defeated Karrion Kross. Thanks for coming, jobber. 8 minutes 10. The whole point of this matchup was that obviously, had Kross won, Zayn would have had to admit that Kross was right, that Zayn was not a good person. And Zayn won, which meant that Kross had to admit he was wrong about Zayn, which is not exactly the most life-threatening dynamic to be on display in a matchup. I'm not personally bothered either way who goes over here. I like Sami Zayn a lot. I like Karrion Kross a lot. But it just feels like Karrion Kross, despite having quite a heavy backing, especially from fans, hasn't he, since this shoot promo he did after Mania, it feels like WWE don't give a fucking shit what we think in that regard. And they're still going to push forward with Sami Zayn. And to be honest, Sami Zayn is the worst opponent he could possibly have in this position because he's probably the most likable guy in the company now that there's no Daniel Bryan and now that Kevin Owens is essentially out with injury for a long time. So, yeah, Karrion Kross lost and apparently he has been offered a new contract, hasn't been accepted yet. What do you think about that? Do you think you should go to AEW?
So he could be the shiny new toy for 5 minutes before somebody else comes along.
So he can be the so he can be Nick and Matt Jackson's bodyguard for 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think Karrion Kross deserved needed the win more than Sami did, but like you said, they clearly don't give a shit what the fans think at the moment because he's got a lot of support from the fans, but they just don't seem bothered, do they? So don't know. I can see him not signing a new contract, but where the hell would he go?
Yeah,
it's not like TNA's a massive option to go to now, is it? So
no, he was in TNA originally, wasn't he? And he was actually really good, like really, really good. Like we enjoyed, we were covering TNA quite a lot at that time. And we had the opportunity to talk to some of the TNA talents. A couple of them came on here, and Karrion Kross very well liked backstage, and also putting in really good work because he was kind of allowed free reign to be as psychotic as possible. In WWE, he was. It's always been about damage control with him now. Like Vince McMahon damaged him beyond repair when he brought him up to the main roster and made him look like a what I essentially can only describe as the condom of a Roman. It was very strange. The gimp mask and all that. It was very, very shit.
Yeah,
And it ruins
yeah,
the vibe and the aura around him to the point where people are like, okay, you're just a, yeah, he's a good soldier and he went out there and did his job. But a bit like Keith Lee, they did the same with him. And, he's
yeah.
never really recovered from that, even though he's gone to AEW and God, Keith Lee's even fucking wrestling at this point. No idea.
I know.
Is what it is. But bottom line is, don't really give a shit. I was very intrigued by the next match. Tiffany Stratton defeated Jade Cargill to win the WWE Women's Championship. 7 minutes and 5 seconds, which for me was the perfect amount of time. I think if it had gone longer,
Yeah,
if you'd watched the match in full, by the end of it, you could see Jade Cargill was starting to struggle a bit with it. She's not ready to be a champion, but she's definitely a hell of a lot further on than she was 12 months ago. And
yeah,
this, I think, was WWE's thing of like, right, we're going to stick you out there, see how the crowd responds to you and how well you do in a big pressure environment, big pay-per-view against a big opponent. This is your first major title shot. How well do you do? I thought she was
yeah,
great. I thought she smashed it. A lot of people I've spoken to said this was the most boring match of the night, which I personally think has more to do with just not being big fans of women's wrestling than anything else, because I thought this match was excellent. Like, I really like this match for Jade Cargill shone for the most part. Still some Ricketts in there, but anyone who actually knows what they're doing and actually trains to be a wrestler like us will know that Ricketts is part of the game. I think Botchamania has really glamorized the nature of mistakes in wrestling. Like,
yeah,
somehow they're a big surprise and that nobody actually makes them. It's not true. Every match has mistakes, loads, whether it be WWE, AEW, TNA, yeah, the lowest of indies, the highest of indies, they all have Ricketts, they all have botches. She had a couple of minor Ricketts. Other than that, didn't really see anything where I was like, you shouldn't be in that match. Well, Tiffany drove the match very well, clearly led the match and did a really great job. Jade Cargill looks like a megastar. She just needs to refine her approach to professional
yeah,
wrestling, and then she will be a megastar in ring as well. But great moveset as well, and also very powerful. There are rumors, depending on whether you believe a lot of the bullshit comes out, she's the WWE have called on her, and that's why they didn't have her go over. I personally think that's a load of bollocks. I think it's just a case of Tiffany Stratton is still very, very strong as champion, and they want to ride that out and get as much of that as possible from her before they set the belt off of her. And now just didn't seem like the right time to take the belt. Do you think they should have put the belt on Jade Cargill? Or do you think it's a
no,
correct decision?
no. This is not a sound harsh. I just don't think she's actually good enough to carry off being champion right now. Um, and that's not to say she's not going to reach that point, because she looks like $1,000,000. She has, like you said, she's got star written all over her, but her in-ring work just isn't good enough at this stage for her to be the one carrying the title. And that's just simply the case of, that's the fact of it now. That's what it is right at this moment. So no, definitely the right choice in who went over for me.
Yeah, same. I do think that Tiffany Stratton is starting to wear a bit thin though. Curious to see how long until they pull the plug.
Yeah,
I don't think I want to wait all the way till WrestleMania to see her drop the belt. I think by that point I'll be so desperate for her to drop it that it doesn't matter who she's in the ring with. We'll want that person to go over. But
mm,
they have opportunities and they have options and plenty of things they can do from now until then. Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul defeated Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. For anyone interested in what a jelly roll is. No, it is not some random American snack product. It is indeed apparently some hillbilly superstar singer slash rapper. Um, Admittedly, I thought he did a reasonable job as a celebrity. Our illustrious friend Sean McKenzie, he was very quick to run it down. Said, "Oh, this guy's shit." Yeah, I was like, "That's 6 weeks of training."
yeah,
We did really fucking well. Like, I couldn't deliver a match like that after 6 weeks of training. I can barely deliver a match like that now. So, yeah, I thought it was okay. It was fun. Logan Paul came across brilliantly as the shithouse. Drew McIntyre, I feel like the company just don't really want to do anything serious with him anymore, but he's too big a deal to have him just swanning
yeah,
around in catering, so they stuck him in this match. It's cool, don't get me wrong, it's still a big moment. You're in there with a celebrity, you're trusted to work with him, you've trusted to be in a ring with Randy Orton, who's an icon. But yeah, it's just like cool, bit of fun. Logan Paul's spot with the prime smashing and the huge splash onto Jelly Roll was really impressive. I would have had money on him
yeah,
not taking a crazy move like that. So credit to him, and him coming out afterwards and saying, people call this shit fake. It's really not. Like, I am in so much pain. Like, every day he's waking up, he's in pain. I'm like, yeah, welcome to our world, sunshine. It's awful. Yeah, we feel that pain every day. We're just conditioned to kind of get used to it. Yeah, good celebrity outing. Would you want to see more of Jelly Roll, or do you think just one and done is nice, fans? You know, stick to the show business, kid.
Uh, he was very impressive for how little amount of training he had. You know, if you're going to be overly critical, there are probably a few moments where I'm going, yeah, I can see how green you are there, but then you just have to remember 6 weeks of training. You know, I mean, to go out in front of that size of a fucking crowd with the caliber of talent that you're in there with, just 6 weeks, and like you said, to take that splash from Logan Paul, I mean, that takes some balls to agree to do that, doesn't it? That really does.
When you're a multi-millionaire, it does. Yeah, like the guy's probably
Yeah,
loaded. He's got a ridiculously hot wife at ringside. Like, he doesn't have to give a fuck about anything, and you know he doesn't have to do this. And I'll tell you
no,
what, I'd much rather watch him than that fucking goon, Travis Scott. That guy's a goober.
yeah,
Like, by
God,
the way,
yeah.
Travis Scott's not really that good. Not very. People were like, yeah, but he's an incredible rapper. Is he though? Is he? It's no Ice Cube for my money, just saying. Not the real OGs, the proper ones, the Dr. Dre's, the Ice Cubes, the Eminems, you know, the Cypress Hills, Rakim, Nas doesn't cover any of those. These are all people that Rodsey is obviously very familiar with. It's a man of great ethnic persuasion. Um, loves his ethnic music. Thank you, Roger. Loves it. Yeah, no, good stuff. I actually was relatively entertained by it. I thought it was fun. Considering it was in the death spot, well, you know, right before the main of our, here we go. Yeah, did all right. 17 minutes. A bit long. Jelly Roll was taking heat for a long time. I get the distinct impression he was taking heat too long. Randy was like, hurry up and tag me in, bro. And you're supposed to be out of this time. But, you know, yeah, it's entertaining. And I'm glad that the heels went over. I think I would have had a big problem with Jelly Roll
Yeah,
pinning either of these guys. That's not happening. Randy Orton, yes, more than credible in taking out one of these two men, but yeah, McIntyre and Cole need to be built a bit more because they're just too big a deal to be running around
yeah,
being goobers and not doing anything too serious. I want to see more out of them, and especially with Logan Paul, it's like you got this transitional megastar. You know, put a belt on him again. There's loads of belts you could put it on him, or put the
yeah,
tag belts on him if you want. If you really want to fucking, you know, set the world ablaze, you'd be like, holy shit, like that'd be really cool having, you know, them as like these destructive, unstoppable tag team champions with all the arrogance to boot. The result was right. The main event, I'll be honest, I still haven't watched it full. I've seen highlights of it. I fell asleep. We watched it live and we fell asleep right as it began. Far be it for me to ever admit I would fall asleep during a Gunther match because I believe he's the best wrestler in the world. But for all intents and purposes, it looked like a good match. Obviously, people are giving it 7 stars because it's CM Punk. CM Punk could shit in your mother's mouth, 7 stars. Tokyo don't.
yeah,
But you know, so first of all, I knew Punk was going over. There's no way he was going to drop, especially after he lost the Mania main event as well. But no way, no way is he going
yeah,
over. I called this a mile away, and I'm sure a lot of people did. So I'm not special by any means by calling it. I knew Seth Rollins was going to cash in as soon as he won the belt. I knew it. And as soon as he came out, everyone was like, "Ah, see, he is injured," and I'm just like, "He's not, though, is he?" Like. Like, if he really was, they would have even bothered rolling him out because it would
no,
have been utterly pointless. It was a cool visual where he's like, and he just drops them both and turns around, whatever, sick. But CM Punk looks like a fucking absolute mong coming out
yeah,
of this, doesn't he? Because he stood
yeah,
there waiting for him to charge down to the ring with a briefcase and still gets clarted and beaten up. And I'm like, right,
yeah,
thanks for coming, bitch.
yeah,
This, you know, like, yeah, like, it's this thing of like baby faces are so dumb in modern wrestling. He bail out of the ring, leave, or just kind of be like,
yeah,
nah, or fucking get disqualified by hitting him over the head with a chair because he's a blood rival. Just hit him as soon as he gets in, go, nope, absolutely
yeah.
fucking not. Try again some other time, but instead he's just like, I guess I'll just take it, little bitch. Fair enough. You know, I think it's good for storytelling. I think CM Punk having the championship, yeah, it doesn't mean as much now. I think we're going to probably be made to wait until next year. WrestleMania will probably be the main event.
Yeah,
This is the all-time blood rivalry that they have going on, and CM Punk going over. So Seth Rollins will go out there and make him look like a megastar. Also, for me, Gunther exposed CM Punk a lot in terms of wrestling ability, which I say exposed. If you genuinely think CM Punk's a better technical wrestler than Gunther, you're a moron because he's just not. Like, it's just not even close. I don't think CM Punk is top 10 in-ring wrestlers in the company. I don't think he's close. I think his promos are incredible and he does have that transition star power, even though I'm not a huge fan. But, you know, Gunther's miles ahead, legions ahead of this guy. Yeah, interesting what Gunther does, obviously. There is a big suspicious rumor that Gunther will be the final opponent of John Cena at the end of the year. Don't know what you think about
Okay.
that. Rod Sears not that bothered. I think Rod Sears was hoping he was going to get the nod
No, no,
to
no, I'm not
retire John
bothered.
Cena.
Don't say that. No.
Would you retire John Cena given the opportunity? I wouldn't hesitate.
Given the
I would not
opportunity, of course I
hesitate.
fucking would.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think WWE's missing a trick not signing Roger Six, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, arguably the most underutilized and underrated wrestler in all of the British landscape. Get him on WWE, mate. I'd much rather watch Roger Sears wrestle than CM Punk. There you go.
You
I'm
know.
not mate. Fuck CM Punk. It's not like I hate him as a person. I don't. I think he's very disingenuous. You know, I think everything that we're seeing of him now is designed to put him in a better light. This is a guy who said, go and suck a blood-soaked Arabian dick or whatever it was about Saudi Arabia to the Miz. Clearly making reference to that. And that's fine. And I have no problem with you saying it. Don't then be like, here's a lot of money. I love Saudi Arabian marrow. Like, what happened? They just jump ship so quick. Oh, you fucking goober. Yeah, but that was obviously the end of SummerSlam. Was that an acceptable finish to night one of SummerSlam for you?
Yeah, I think the only part of me, right, is that after I'd watched it, I kind of thought they could have done that so much better. I just felt that, like you said, it's because it made CM Punk look so bad, but the fact that he just stood there waiting for him to run all the way down the ramp. Whereas I thought it would have been better for Seth to have come into the ring with the crutches and go and shake his hand and go, but just so you know, I got the briefcase, so anytime I want. And then as he goes to leave, drops the crutches and just fucking blindsides him.
Yeah, that would have
It would have been so much better. But, you know, they did what they did. So.
Yeah, but the world's most ridiculously oversized stage, by the way. I've never seen anything like it. Like, don't get me wrong, Titantron looks great, but the stage itself was so massive and it was so bare and grey. And I just thought, what's the fucking point? Like, put some shit on it. I missed it. Do you know what I missed? The good old days, like Armageddon 2000, when they had all the burned out apocalyptic cars and stuff. Like, put a bit more effort into the props on your set design. The Titantrons look great, but yeah, I wanted, I don't know, I just want a bit more. But yeah, no, it was fine. Like, I knew what was happening, so I wasn't like emotionally invested. Gunter's been pretty fucked up. I think he's taken some time off, apparently. He's quite fucked up in the match. Also, people are critiquing him, saying, oh, he clearly bladed and fucked up. And I'm like, still one of the best wrestlers to ever walk this planet. Like, I don't really care. And also, go back and watch Terry Funk, Mick Foley, Triple H, Ric Flair, any of these people, and you will catch them blading at some point. Brock Lesnar was bleedingly obvious about it, pun intended. So, you know, whatever. I'm not fussed. Night two saw the women's triple threat open up matters and delivered once again with aplomb. Naomi successfully defending the Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Absolute banger. Continues the story, of course, that Rhea Ripley can't beat Io Sky, albeit because Naomi was involved as well. It's that thing of like the ultimate kryptonite. I think they've done a really good job of it. It's like, yeah, you can't beat Io. You're never going to beat Io Sky, basically. Really, really cool. Obviously, she's probably going to beat her at Mania, I think, maybe next year. Because Rhea Ripley's just too big a fucking star. She's got to get that win at some point. But I love the fact that the crowd was so hot for both her and Io Sky. They've done a great job of elevating Io Sky into a world-class status. And Naomi comes across brilliantly. It's really, really cool to see her come out of her dad, who played guitar for her entrance. It's also very funny to see her on Twitter or X later on either that evening or the day after, cancelling him, saying that she'd fired him for taking a photo of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, which I thought was very amusing. Great fucking heel. She's really, really grown on me so much. One of the best heels in the company. And this match was fucking awesome. And of course, Naomi retains, which obviously the right decision. She only had the belt, like, what, 2 weeks? So she's got to retain, right?
Yeah, I think the only thing I was a little surprised that she retained. I thought Rhea was going to go over, but actually pleasantly surprised because I think she deserves a longer run with it because this heel gimmick is definitely getting over now.
Yeah, she's totally unhinged and just out there. But it's also that thing of like, if she'd lost, all of a sudden you've killed any momentum, any heat she's
Yeah,
got, and she'll forever be the bitch who just, like, I don't mean like obviously in a female potential manner, I mean just a
no,
complete bitch, book wise, because it's that thing of like, oh, congratulations, like, you had the belt for 2 weeks, now you're a jobber. Great. Like, doesn't mean anything. She
yeah,
just loses it immediately. The fact that she does have that signature win is cool, and hopefully they can build to next year's Mania and have her hold it for a while. You never know with the women's booking, though. It goes one of two ways. Either they hold it for a
yeah,
long time or they keep hot potatoing these things around like crazy. It was a good match, really good match. Really, really good. Obviously, Meltzer won't give it 5 stars. It's got women in it, and it doesn't have a load of Japanese flippy guys, but, all in all, fantastic stuff. Then we had what can only be described as a car crash, a legit car crash. Not a car crash, a Mack truck crash. The Wyatt Six successfully defeated Andrade and Ray Phoenix, DIY, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, and the Street Profits in a 12-man, 6-team tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. There are a couple of deaths in this match, which is quite interesting. Candice LeRae passed away, which is very, very awkward for most people watching. If you'd had on your bingo card the tiniest woman, one of the tiniest women on the roster will take the nastiest bump in the entire match, I would have been like, what? Brave.
yeah,
Dropped like 15 feet to the outside for a ladder. I was like, yeah, nah. Like, what are you doing? It's fucking psychopathic. Some of the, oh my God, I don't know if you saw the Spanish fly that
yeah.
Dawkins took to the outside and he almost went through the
Hell,
barrier at the same time. I was like,
yeah,
oh my God. Just a crazy amount of shit going on. Rare to see champions going into a 6-pack. To see the champions retain was quite cool. But I think
yeah,
it was kind of the right decision from the aspect of the other teams. Like, when I look at them, Motor City Machine Guns have already had it, DIY have already had it, Fraxium are kind of very new. Fucking Street Profits have just dropped the belt, so it wouldn't make sense for them to win it back. And Andrade and Ray Phoenix, I'm assuming, is not going to be a long-term thing. So,
exactly.
it's that thing of like, oh, they're the only actual real legitimate people who should have come out with this, unless you were going to put them back on the Street Profits. But yeah, I like the fact that the Wyatt Six was so unhinged and so crazy that that match suited their premise. I also really like, because it was 25 years since the first TLC, wasn't it? At SummerSlam 2000. And there was actually some really good tribute nods to the original match. Like when all the women jumped in and ran out, it was very similar to when not necessarily the tribute to the first match, but a tribute to TLC in general. Obviously, WrestleMania 17, you had Lita and
Yeah,
Rhino getting involved, and that was kind of cool and quite unique. It was like, anything can happen. So I just love the fact that you got 12 people in it, and that's still not enough. They're like, yeah, let's roll out Nikki Cross, Candice LeRae, B Fab, stay to you. And just like who is like anyone else? Fucking hell. Yeah, it was mental, though. Like the ultimate car crash. Great stuff.
yeah.
Second best ladder match I've seen in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, good stuff. You're welcome, Redmond. You're well. Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking bonkers. Everything it needed to be, right? Just pure car crash.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Just that's what you want from a match like that, is you just want utter chaos all the way through, don't you? Um, yeah, I totally agree what you're saying with the White Six retaining. The only other team I would have looked at to have said getting the win would have been Fraxium, but it's a little bit too early. And I feel they're going to be over enough that they deserve a big moment where it's they win it in a straight up tag match rather than with all these other bodies involved. So yeah, the right decision. You keep it on them.
Yeah, good, lovely image at the end as well of all of the Y6 on the ladder, like all on different layers
Yeah,
of it with about very cool, very very cool. Especially as I'm kind of disappointed their booking hasn't led to something a bit darker and a bit more. But I don't think Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy
yeah,
is main event good enough. If you know what I mean. I think they've kind of recognised. Plus, this is a
yeah.
good
That'd
opportunity
be
for them
good.
to build from the
Yeah,
mid card nicely. So tag belts suit them quite well. Becky Lynch defeated Lyra Valkyria in 25 minutes for the for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. This was no disqualification, no count out, last chance. Just call it a street fight because the main event was street. It was a street
Yeah,
fight. You get over it. I've got to say, I'm really impressed. Like, when I saw this match coming off, I thought, really? Like, this is, by the way, they really loaded up the gimmicks for night two. Everything seemed to be gimmicks. You know, there were titles on the line all over the place. And I sat there and thought, I'm not a fan of Becky Lynch. I think she's massively overrated. I love Lyra Valkyria. I think she's technically so good, like really, really good as an in-ring worker. But her character hasn't translated well, I think, to the overall audience. I don't think the fans are behind her as much. So I was kind of expecting her to become like a lunatic heel. It all came down to the fact that Bayley was like, "You cost me my shot," and then it was, Bayley who ironically accidentally cost Lyra Valkyria in this match. So I'm assuming they'll build for that at the next pay-per-view, which is fine. Be a good match, if nothing else. Great in-ring workers. This match got really violent, really personal at points, chaining her up on the post and, smashing her in the gut with the kendo stick was quite visceral to watch. There was, a lot of stuff going on. They made the most of it. It did go on quite a long time, but I've got to say, Becky Lynch did a really good job of getting Lyra as far over as she could without her regaining the title. And now Becky Lynch is in a rivalry with Nikki Bella, of all people, next for the IC title, which should be interesting. We'll talk about the promo and the reaction it garnered on Raw. I don't know if you've seen it in this one. It was a lot of aggro, which is I'm not really that bothered. But yeah, decent match. Any quick thoughts on that one?
I actually quite enjoyed this one, and was rather impressed with the drop kick that Valkyria did while having her hands cable tied together. That drop kick really popped me. I was like, "Holy shit, that was good!"
And a moonsault as well, perfect moonsault as well. Like, she's way too good in the ring. I mean, she's just so good in the ring. She's just lacking that star power as a character. Needs more gimmick.
The finish was shit. Only in the sense of Bayley looked like a complete moron because she hit her and then went, "Oh no, what have I done? Oh, she's pinning her. 1, 2. Oh, I better try and break this." It's like it's a no DQ match. You've hit her, you can dive straight in and break up this pin. Bayley looked a bit of an idiot in that finish. Whereas if I don't know, it was a bit shit in that respect.
Not a fan of the booking entirely of Bayley. I think they've really dropped the ball with her. I don't understand why they've essentially said to her, "Do you mind taking a back seat and not wrestling at Mania and SummerSlam to gain more sympathy?" It's like, well, actually, she just looks like a bit of a goober.
Yeah. I thought she was going to turn heel.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I actually thought she was going to intentionally cost Lyra the match. So when they did it accidentally, I was like, would have been better if she just turned heel on her instead. But good match. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I will say I did enjoy that. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting to, but I really did enjoy that.
Yeah, going straight after the TLC match as well. I thought, "Oh, you're fucked. Like, you're not going to be able to top that." And they did, actually. In a different way. They presented an entirely different street fight gimmick matchup. Following on from that, another gimmick, the steel cage match for the United States Championship. Solo Sikoa defeated Jacob Fatu by escaping the cage due to a ludicrous amount of shenanigans, and then rinse and repeat formula. JC Mateo, who for some reason they spent a lot of money getting into WWE, instead of him going to AEW, he's literally the biggest chopper I've ever seen. He makes Tonga Loa look like Daniel Bryan. I have no idea what the fuck's going on here. I don't like the faction anyway, the MTS. MFT, sorry, my family tree, like, shit nickname. Like, rubbish. Like, you couldn't think of anything else. Like, it should have called him the Samoan Hit Squad or Samoan SWAT team again or something. That would have been cool. Yeah. Like, just bring back that heritage. But fuck it, or I don't know. The Tongan Terrors, anything would have been better than MFT. Sounds like I literally when I first thought of it, I was like, what are they, like digital currency? like the NFTs. I was like, it's such a stupid name. Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Solo Scar retains in what was an all right match, and then Jacob Fatu in every match where he loses gets his heat back immediately by going psycho at the end of beating up random Tongans.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you think the United States Championship has taken a step back since it's gone on Solo Scar?
Yeah, definitely appears to, doesn't it? Definitely seems that way. But
also, Solo Scar is supposed to be kind of a bitch, right? supposed to be like a bit of a pussy. And then he comes
Yeah.
down and he's like proper like, let's fucking go. Gets in the cage, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And I'm just like, literally a week ago, you were running scared of him. Like, you were reporting him to the police. Which, by the way, I hate police angles. They're so hokey. They never work. Like, the only time
No.
it works is when Austin got McMahon fucking arrested. He's like, oh, I hate you, Austin.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. It's really tacky. And it's like I know for a fact those aren't real police. Go fuck yourself. Just no, it's not working for me. Match that you really liked, the penultimate match of SummerSlam was Dominic Mysterio retaining the Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles in the how many spots can I borrow from Eddie Guerrero pinfall match?
Yeah. It was, yeah. Even like with AJ's gear and his entrance, everything. But it was a really nice nod to nostalgia for me. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was, yeah. I mean, I'm a big AJ fan anyway, and the more I see of Dom, the more he's growing on me.
He's
I just
over as
enjoyed it.
fuck, isn't he? He was more over than AJ Styles, I
Isn't he?
liked in this
My
match.
God.
Crowd wanted him to win.
Yeah.
What do you think about AJ Styles coming out dressed as Eddie Guerrero and doing a lowrider thing? And
I did
having
think it
his
was,
son even have the
yeah,
same look as Dominic from
I
2005.
know.
I was like, I
Wow.
must have, I don't know why a part of me was like, why are you the one doing the tribute
Yeah,
for him? Like
yeah, there was that thought.
you're a trailer park boy from Georgia, aren't you? Like, I didn't get it. I was just like, I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to get in the head of Dominic Mysterio, but it's
Yeah,
that thing of like, what? Why are you like? If anything, Dom should have come out with that gear on and then like torn it off. It's kind of weird because Dom's just more over because he's tributing Eddie, and did
yeah,
obviously for me the best thing of this entire match is the rerunning of WrestleMania 20 when he does the boot spot, which Guerrero did against Angle
yeah,
to escape the ankle lock. It was brilliant, really really cool. But yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. I don't really get it, but I like watching AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio, so I didn't really give a shit. I watched this anyway. It's great. Yeah, and he was in the death spot as well because it was right before
yeah,
John Cena and Cody Rhodes. You poor bastards! No one's going to give a shit, and they did. The crowd were really hot for
yeah. Yeah, there's not an awful lot more to add to
it. Not
what you
really.
said.
No, fun match, fun match. And Dom is just mega star right now as a heel. It's great stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that he's lifted all of his gimmick performances. Oh no, wait, no, it's the other way around. Sorry. Fucking like I'm all for tribute acts, but Jesus, bro, surprised he hasn't changed his name to I don't know, something more Mexican. No. Best comment. We'll leave that for the comment section. What do you think Owen Sears should change his name to so he sounds more
Oh,
like a Mexican?
God.
Of course, Roger Sears' son, who is also a wrestler and one half of the IWA Prison Tag Team Champions, who suspiciously seems to look a bit like Dominic Mysterio. Strange. Very strange. Right, main event. John Cena drops the belt, drops the big strap to Cody Rhodes in a street fight. Cody Rhodes turns heel? Nope. John Cena lied and stays heel? Nope. He was truthful. What do you think about the whole? Because the night before SummerSlam, Cena comes out and goes, "Do you know what? I'm actually a face. Ah, yeah. Oh, you rapscallion, Cody. Oh, yeah. Oh, do you know what? Actually, like the Rock's a bit of a divvy, isn't he? Yeah, fucking always love you guys. Let's have a face versus face street fight. That makes more sense, right? Right, guys? Yeah, we can believe that. It just completely binning off months of great heel work as well.
Yeah, yeah,
But I will say the match was fucking awesome. I was really impressed. I'll tell you what, I'm kind of ashamed that Cena didn't retire straight after this because this was the perfect match to retire. Great stuff, especially with the crowd chanting thank Cena at the
yeah.
end. But obviously, there's more to it than that. First of all, before we get to the contentious return of a megastar, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, right decision and also good match. I thought it was great, personally.
Yeah, it was good. I think I saw it coming a mile off that Cody was going to take it, but I always thought it was. I think I was with the majority where I thought it was Cody was going to turn heel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I kind of thought Cena was going to keep hold of it. If he had stayed heel, I saw Cena keeping it right up to his last match and going, "Yeah, I'm winning, retiring, belt's coming with me, and then he drops it. But with the face turn, I guess it was kind of inevitable that he was dropping it now, so that he's not carrying it, for the remainder of his final run.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes winning, right choice. Needed to be that way. I think he's the only star big enough to put the belt back on. And he can carry it now till WrestleMania, and I'm assuming they'll have something else for him. Maybe they could run back him and Gunther. Maybe Gunther could beat him for the WWE title. That'd be quite cool, I think.
Yeah.
And also, I just feel like Gunther's big enough and good enough that he should be the man, not just a man, which is kind of what the World Heavyweight Championship feels like. Although Seth Rollins has done a wonderful job of elevating that belt to a massive status. Obviously, the big elephant in the room, and a big fucking elephant it is, Brock Lesnar makes his return and basically runs it back from the night after WrestleMania 29, I think, when he comes out. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was WrestleMania where he comes out and F5s him and leaves him to play. Apparently, according to sources, John Cena specifically asked to work Brock Lesnar as part of his retirement tour, which is why they have acquiesced in this decision. That, of course, is quite a contentious issue because Brock Lesnar was named in the lawsuit over Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon. Big enough, I will say the crowd went fucking apeshit because I don't think
Yeah.
they were expecting it either. I thought they thought, yeah, no chance we get Brock Lesnar with the new TKO acquisition. They're very hot about, don't shit in someone's pool, otherwise we'll have to pull you. Like they're very careful, aren't they, about not doing anything? And obviously, Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
allegedly big fan of shitting in certain things besides pools. So, far be it from me to argue. I mean, he fucking literally murdered me just by shouting at me. But just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, Brock Lesnar's back whether we like it or not. Are you offended by Brock Lesnar returning at SummerSlam? Do you find it a contentious issue, or do you think this is the right time? Also, are you excited about Brock Lesnar and John Cena one more time?
Firstly, it's definitely a contentious issue, isn't it? From the things I've seen, he's all but been cleared,
I was going to say, I
or
don't
he's not a
think they would have
part
brought him
of
back, would
the
they?
suit going forward. Is what
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah,
No.
yeah. No,
So
I don't
it
think you
doesn't
could realistically
particularly offend
justify it, could
me.
you? You couldn't justify it. You could not have him running around
No.
here if he was legitimately still up for grabs as like a potential rapist or whatever they might be allocating against him. I don't think you could get away with that.
No, not a chance. So it doesn't particularly offend me in that sense. Did surprise me. I didn't see it coming. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think I'm particularly looking forward to another Brock John Cena match, not especially. There's no part of me that is like, I must see another one. It'll probably be a half decent match. I can't imagine they're going to deliver a shit show, but
No,
yeah, it's not one that I'm exactly clamoring for. I have not felt a desire to watch it again.
it's also that thing of like, if John Cena loses, it kind of cements. Like, Brock Lesnar can't just come back and lose. That's what happened last time, remember? He came back and we were like,
Yeah,
oh, he's going to fucking kill him. And then he lost in that match, Extreme Rules, in a match that was supposed to favor him, an MMA based Extreme Rules match. Like, what the fuck? Like, and he lost to Superman Cena, who only has 5 moves. I was like, okay, cool. Does it? I remember just thinking, fuck wrestling at that point. I hated it. But, you know, um, yeah, I mean, I'm curious. So, obviously that SummerSlam wraps up pretty decent. Yeah, so the rumors are Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, then a Survivor Series, Team Cena versus Team Rollins, which allegedly will have Rollins and all his gang versus Cena, Rollins and all his gang and Lesnar versus Cena, Punk, a few other reprobates that I've totally forgotten about. James are probably in there, Roman Reigns and somebody else. So, I'm like, cool, whatever. And then the rumor is that he'll wrap it up with Saturday night's main event, December against Gunther, which is an interesting choice. So obviously, Cena, if that is true, it might just be total bollocks, and dirty full of
yeah,
fucking shit. But if it is true, obviously that suggests to me that Cena has quite a big fascination or quite a big amount of love for Gunther because he's probably going to get
Yeah,
to choose for his last ever match. So,
yeah, I'd have thought
he's going to
so.
have to put someone over big. And I think, yeah, John Cena being retired by Gunther is actually a big fucking deal and will pretty much cement Gunther as the big deal of the company. With
Yeah,
Lesnar coming back, do you think they will finally run the angle they wanted to, which is Lesnar versus Gunther, potentially at WrestleMania?
that would be cool. Actually, I would like to see that.
Gunther's strong
Um,
enough that I think he could slap him about, but like, I'm interested to
yeah, I
see
think so.
how that goes. Like, all right, he massacred Goldberg, and Goldberg's like fucking 90, so like, who cares? Like, man could barely fucking walk, bless him. Plus, fucking Goldberg's ultimate rival was the cameraman that night. But I'm just like, what do you think of SummerSlam overall? Pretty good.
I thought it was good. Um, I thought match quality was better night two than it was night one.
Yeah, much better in my opinion.
Um, so no, yeah, good SummerSlam. Definitely a good SummerSlam this year.
Well, coming out of SummerSlam, we obviously had Raw. I haven't watched much of it, but I did see Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella. Now, obviously, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm sure everyone has at this point. Um, Becky Lynch took a crack at Nikki Bella, basically says, oh, yeah, you fucking, yeah, you're talking about my husband. Let's talk about, oh, wait, you don't have one anymore, do you? It's just snide, shitty remarks. Now, Bully Ray came out on his podcast and made what I believe to be very, very good points. Because obviously on the Raw after SummerSlam, Bella confronted Lynch and put herself at the front of the line for a shot at the title. In the segment, Lynch delivered a line that mocked both Bella and her former boyfriend, WWE star John Cena, a line Ray felt was unnecessary. He said, what good does that do to Nikki? You see, can you feel my silence? Is my silence speaking volumes yet? No. What the fuck are we doing over here? I don't mind them giving Becky Lynch that line. Just make sure Nikki can follow it up. There was no following it up. There was no rebuttal. There was no retort. Ray said on Busted Open. There was no like, oh yeah, well check this out, sister. Nothing. To the point where Nikki looked uncomfortable because the reaction was so overwhelming, and Nikki had to admit, yeah, you got me right just for the pop. So obviously the heel buried the babyface and then didn't even get a chance to like beat the shit out of her or it was just fucking pointless. And it really cemented my opinion of how shit Becky Lynch is. If you're a good heel, you have to make sure coming out of this segment, even if you make a snide remark like that, and that is fine, you have to make sure that Nikki Bella either has the final say or is going to have the opportunity to make you eat shit pretty quickly. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, she just looks like a total bitch. Like everyone hates Nikki Bella because she was in Total Divas, which is a shame because she's improved so much as a wrestler in her time. She looks beautiful. She looks wonderful. She's in the best shape. She's obviously gone through a lot of fucking shit, had a really hard time of it in life, with abusive partners and stuff like that. But, very much like the Charlotte Flair thing, people resent her for being successful, which is so stupid.
yeah.
Like, I resent you for being good at your job. Like, and people will say, oh, she's a shit wrestler. Is she as good a wrestler as Charlotte Flair or Bayley? Well, she's fucking not. Nobody's sitting here saying that, but she's fine. Like, I'm much rather watch Nikki Bella wrestle any day of the week than Natalia or Tamina or someone of that nature. So, she's got star power. She's got mainstream appeal. People like Nikki Bella. And she's got a big social media following, and she's still working at a decent level. Like, it's really funny listening to all these fat, sweaty nerds online, the kind of people who wouldn't be caught dead in Parkstone, much less at their fucking nan's basement. And, he's sitting there talking about how, fucking, look at better shit. She can't wrestle as they munch down their fifth bag of, Doritos in the last hour. Like, shut the fuck up. Sad, sweaty. Yeah, you talk about virgin wrestling fans. These are in. Like these are the ones who are like, oh, I love Becky Lynch because they probably like Becky Lynch because she calls herself the man. Like, yeah, she's the man. She's not a woman, therefore she's better. What? They're so stupid, these fans. Like really fucking stupid. And they hurt the product. And also, Becky Lynch should know better. She must know she's going to get a pop for that line. She must know that by going out there and making snide remarks about her family, all the crowd are going to fall, funny, because Nikki Bella got dumped. Funny. Like any of them have ever been in a serious relationship anyway, other than with their right hand on a giant fucking industrial-sized bottle of KY jelly. Shut the fuck up, you fat, useless, sweaty cunts. Honestly, a lot of it. Like, embarrassing. Like Becky Lynch proved to me in this moment that she's not a good heel and she's not a good professional. Because if I've been in that position, yeah, like for instance, I play a heel, right? My arse, I don't play a heel. I just fucking tell people how I feel. I don't like most of the people that I speak to in wrestling, so it's great news for me. But I'm sitting there thinking, even I would have found a way to get her over. My job as a heel is to make sure that she leaves as the babyface, is that people like her and they get her over. Becky Lynch has done an okay job with Lyra Valkyria, but ultimately comes away from it as the bigger deal. And then she comes out and just fucking buries Nikki Bella in front of this entire audience. So now we're like, okay, that's just a corpse now. That's a warm corpse. Like you've completely shot her dead in the middle of the ring. So now when she faces you, even if, chances are she's probably not going to win. Becky's probably going to go over because why in God's name would you have Nikki Bella win the IC title at this point? Doesn't really make much sense. But it's also that thing of like, well, now I don't care because you've
Yeah.
eradicated my ability to give a shit about the rivalry. I still will be rooting for Nikki Bella because I just like her a lot more than Becky Lynch. I think she's a better all-round professional athlete. Like I wouldn't say she's a better professional wrestler. I think Becky Lynch is definitely a better worker, but I think as an overall human being, a professional, Nikki Bella comes out of this. All I feel is sympathy for her that she's been thrown out there to die in front of this live audience, and that Becky Lynch has done nothing to help her. Becky Lynch is obsessed with just being cool and not being a good heel. That's what I like about Seth Rollins because he is cool, but he will go above and beyond to ensure that he comes away from everything as a heel.
Yeah.
And as you know, as somebody who's had the opportunity to be a bad guy at a very high level in professional wrestling and work some very very good opponents, you would never. You wrestled Eric Young, a former TNA champion, a former NXT Tag Team champion. You didn't go out there and go, "Hi, Eric, how's your wife? You fat piece of shit." Like, no. You went out there and did your job, made sure that you got even more heat because that building was like, oh, Roger Sears is going to fucking get it now. And spoiler alert, Roger Sears kicked Eric Young in his stupid face and sent him packing. Heels for life. Yeah, baby. Oh, those were the good old days, weren't they? That was something that belonged, outside of closed doors. But hey, it is what it is. Becky Lynch. Also, her promos are insufferable. It's like someone has shoved a leprechaun up her ass. Hey, why does she talk like that? She thinks she's really cool and edgy, and she's just not. Like Becky Lynch, the human being, Becky Lynch, the mother, amazing human being. Becky Lynch, the wrestler, massively overrated. Massively overrated. Doesn't do a job. Just doesn't do a job. Any thoughts on this weird angle? And also, how far is too far when it comes to personal remarks in a match or in a segment? Do you think that it's too much, or do you think it's fine if there's a rebuttal, or are you one of these people who's like just leave the partners out of it full stop? Because we've already seen this with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair in the build up to WrestleMania as well.
I think the line is dependent on each individual person, obviously, because some people will take a lot more than others will. I'm all for you can get a little bit personal if you've spoken about it beforehand and you're all agreed. Then it's fair game. But in an instance like this, the babyface has to be able to have something they can say back to, because they're just obviously that line popped me. I was watching, I went, oh yeah, okay, that's funny, and then it's like, but she's the heel, and this is not really the reaction it's supposed to be getting, and if it is getting that reaction, then Nikki needs to be able to say something in response that gets an even bigger reaction. And obviously there wasn't anything she could say, and she just, she was like fed to the wolves, wasn't she, on that one?
Yeah.
So I mean, you pretty much summed it up exactly how I would have. Like, it just did not come across as a very professional thing to do when there was nothing that Nikki could do in response. Just nothing.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not offended by the line. I'm not bothered by that. Like, if you want to be personal and it's been okay, that's fine. But you have to ensure that the face comes away with some fire and looking good. And she didn't. She came away as a total dog. And that's a shame because now you've buried her going into this matchup. So it's like, great. So I don't care now. And ultimately, I feel like the IC title is kind of being hijacked by Becky Lynch more so than being elevated. That's kind of how it feels to me. It is what it is. Yeah, WWE, of course, the ESPN thing we already mentioned that $1.6 billion, which is an outrageous amount of money. Just thought I'd make mention of the fact that we would like to wish Jonathan Gresham recovery. He had 2 strokes this week, which is obviously as somebody who's had a TIA, which is a mini stroke, fucking heavy hitting. To see a man in his prime and 37 in the athletic power that he's in, mate. Hopefully he should be making a full recovery, which in its own right is bonkers. 2 strokes. Like most people, when they suffer a full stroke, like that's if it's not game over, it's a debilitating life for the rest of your life, for essentially to say. So that shows the pedigree of person talking here that he's like, yeah, I'm going to take 2 to 4 weeks off. It's the official statement. I'm like, 2 to 4 weeks off for 2 strokes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's me like, oh God, I don't think I can make training this week. My back's hurting too much. This guy had 2 strokes. So yeah, I'll see you at training tomorrow morning. Fuck. Yeah. But it was hard not to cry, if I'm being honest. Like I haven't talked about my mini stroke in depth to many people. But it's a terrifying thing. Obviously, also Britt Baker suffered TIA a couple of years ago. And it is just a harrowing experience. I mean, you're paralyzed essentially on one side of your body. You don't know whether you're going to fucking live or breathe again. So yeah, obviously Jonathan Gresham is never going to watch this, but if I could say anything to him, I'm just proud that you're still here, mate. I hope you're okay. It's a horrible road back, really is, and I still suffer psychologically so badly from that. So I can't imagine what it's like when you ramp up the fact that this is a full stroke twice. But no ability. It took him half an hour just to ring 911. He could have died in that period. The fact that he's still here is wonderful news for all of us. And obviously, it must be harrowing for Jordan Grace, who's just entering like a big stage in WWE. So I wish him nothing but the best of health. And I really pray that he doesn't have to go through that again because it's haunting, is what it is. Not much else to add to that, really, is it? It's just a really somber and miserable subject to discuss. Paul Rogers was going to add to that. He did, which is fair
No,
enough. So,
there was nothing to say. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Absolutely horrible. And I echo your sentiments. We just wish him a speedy recovery and hope that he's going to be okay.
yeah, it's just shit, you know. There's no jokes, there's no fun side of Wrestle Plug here. The bottom line is that it's just really, really tough to stomach and see that kind of stuff. We should obviously mention the fact that we are just over, almost 2 weeks removed now, aren't we? I believe, from
Yeah.
The Last Dance, ASW South Volume 8, The Last Dance. Roger Sears, just the referee, just the cameraman, me. We obviously had the opportunity to settle our differences earlier on in the day. Obviously, it is what it is, mate. I don't really have much to say to you from that perspective. I'm actually disappointed that I was stuck in a match with you in the first place. I thought it was very disappointing that I sent my best friend to deal with things. I will say this, Lily May, you're lucky. You're Lily May, right? I see you right on Instagram. Lucky. Yeah, lucky is the term because I only have to hit you once to break your neck. Are you serious? Like the shooter, hilarious. You bring a fucking pistol to an artillery war zone. Hilarious. I will bomb you back into oblivion. Are you madness? Know your place, little child. Pathetic. Ridiculous. And you think yourself lucky that ASW South management aren't stupid enough to put you in the ring with me because I will end your sweaty career. Understand me? Absolute good. And also, I've heard things that apparently Rich Winters is running his mouth. Like, oh, I don't like the fact that he takes the piss out of Salisbury there. Stick to your soliloquies online, yeah? Stick to your long ass, boring ass fucking novellas in group chats. Otherwise, I'll drop you and expose you, you giant freak. Idiot. And as far as Cameron Anderson sticking his nose in my business, he's obsessed with me. I understand that. Cameron Anderson wishes he was me. That's fine. I get that. That's completely understandable. I'll just drop you again, like I have done. Oh, by the way, pretty sure I pinned your dumb ass back in February. So, a pleasure. Let's do it again whenever you please. But gotta stay professional and all that. Fucking in it. Slow button. Rod Sears, what did you think of The Last Dance, which of course was not part of the Student Showcase number 7? Yeah, good. a very emotional show. And by the time this drops, of course, everyone will know because it has dropped on YouTube tonight, actually, while we're recording. Nathan Angel, unfortunately, no longer with us in ASW South. He was beaten by Joel Redman. I want to know what it felt like to be at the center of that kind. I know you didn't referee that match, but obviously you refereed, Nathan Angel's last ever match. He was unsuccessful, cashing in on a bullet as well. What's it like from a referee's perspective, being a part of something so, there's a big magnitude about that, isn't there? There's a big
Yeah.
deal around that. And obviously, emotionally, it's very devastating to know that, Nathan's no longer a part of ASW South. Never will be. Obviously, we assume he'll be moving on to much, much greener pastures. Congratulations. But it's that thing of, yeah, I want to know how Roger Sears feels being in the epicenter of all that. And also, Roger Sears, how does it feel to be the man who had to disqualify you? You didn't have to. You disqualified Nathan Angel in the main event. You cost Nathan Angel the opportunity to be ASW South British Heavyweight Champion on the way out. It could have been a glorious, beautiful ride into the sunset. The one likes we've never seen since John Wayne, and Roger Sears was like, nah, I don't fancy that. Might take that away for you, mate. DQ. Yeah. How's it feel to be? How's it feel to be the bad guy, Rog? How's it feel for everyone to now see you as a bad guy, just like they do me every day?
I'm just basically the Earl Hebner of All Star South, aren't I, at this
Well, you're
point?
selling t-shirts in the back of your car.
Yeah.
That's a good reference for any old school wrestling fans around it.
Now, just waiting for the next show and the "You Screwed Nathan" chance. From a perspective of like, I actually felt proud to be refereeing that last moment for him. I don't know if you remember, but one of the first, I think probably the first podcast I ever did with you, where you interviewed me, you asked me about what my thoughts are on Brandon and Nathan. And I remember speaking very highly of both of them, saying I can see both of them doing really, really well. But also that making that point of I'm not one of those who was jealous of like, oh, they're going to surpass me and they'll be better than me. It was that wanting them to, I was excited to see how they could do and to be able to play however small a part I did in that final match of his was quite an honor.
What's it what's it like, from what I have the chance essentially to interview you, is it difficult being a referee for such a high caliber show? Or are you proud of the fact that you are the head referee? You are at the very spine of the authority of what ASW South does. Like, without you, it doesn't work. Like, for anyone who doesn't know, Roger is not only a very accomplished professional wrestler, but he's also one of the best referees in the country, if not Europe. And it's that thing of, yeah, he probably works a fraction of all the other major referees do in Europe, which is beggars belief. If you run a wrestling promotion and you're booking some mong in tracksuits and a t-shirt and you're not booking Roger Sears for a nominal fee to referee your shows, then frankly, you shouldn't be in my business. Get the fuck out. That's all I care about at this point. Like, fuck you. I'm willing to die on that hill. I absolutely am. I think that we should adhere to the standards and the quality of what wrestling should be very, very best. We shouldn't just have some straw promoter's son out there, running amok, or some ridiculous freak show from a circus who weighs 450 pounds who couldn't even get into a pair of trousers to lose. Like, get trained referees, get trained for MCs, get proper people on board. That's why SW South is the way it is it has the very best of the best doing everything in and around this company. Yeah, I forgot what my point was, to be honest. I was going to ask you something. But yeah,
You
oh yeah, I
asked
was
me
going to,
whether I'm
yeah, like,
proud of you.
yeah. How's it feel? Like, is it a moment? Is it just pride, or do you sit there with a tinge of regret, thinking, I'm good enough to be on these shows too?
Um, the honest answer to that is I actually feel I know my place at All Star.
Or what? Talk about a politician's answer. That is,
No,
it's a,
but the point is, I've always felt that you should go into a wrestling show and your aim should essentially be, how can I give the most impact possible or to make the biggest contribution I possibly can to this show? And I look at the talent that is actually part of that roster, And in all honesty, I look at it and I think, you know what, where I can make the biggest contribution to this show and to this company is as their referee. Um, and so it's pride to know that I'm basically the head referee for it. There it is pride knowing that. I'm loving getting to see, the development of the guys that are there. Obviously, I'd never say no to being on one of their shows and wrestling. Um, but I am, I'm proud of what I've done as the referee there. And I wouldn't want getting on the show to be at the detriment of carrying on as the ref, if that makes sense. Um,
Sorry, carry on, mate. What was that?
um, it's one of those things. This is the position I'm in, and it's almost like being a victim of being good at something, in some respects of like I'm good as a referee to a point of like I'm almost too valuable as a referee.
Yeah,
This is
no one
probably
can take your place. No one can take
it,
your
it
place.
probably
Um,
sounds like complete arrogance of saying it. I don't get nervous refereeing those shows in any way, shape, or form. That may sound like arrogance. I'm not nervous at all when I go out there to referee them, but it's not arrogance. There's this fine line between being arrogant and cocky about what you can do and being confident in your ability. And it's not arrogance, it's I'm confident in what I can do as a referee that I no longer get nervous before I go out to do it because I have that much confidence in what I can do. That does sound arrogant, but yeah, in all honesty, I do see myself as one of the best referees in the country. I do now.
I
Maybe
mean,
not on time, but now I do. And sorry if that makes me sound like an arrogant prick. I'm not. I'm just confident in my own abilities of what I do.
massive ego, mate. That's his problem. That's an ego the size of his penis and boy, is that big. It's,
It's
it's
got to be the same for you though in videography, right?
I I've got to a
You,
point with videography where I'm so comfortable. Like I know
yeah,
what I'm doing all day. Like I'm very
exactly.
blessed at All Star that I have an amazing, team. Like my partner has become my equal as a videographer. I'm really proud of just how good she is at what she does at it. And obviously, you got Pete Seeker up in the rafters doing the balcony cam stuff who doesn't get nearly enough credit for how great a job he does. I have Connor and Joe Dale and even that absolute mong Sean McKenzie. Like, I love him really. All these people put in so much
I
work and
understand.
listen to my direction. They have to listen to my direction. You know why they have to listen? Because I'm the best at it. I am. I'm one of the best at it. It's one and one A. There's me. There's Troy Grant Media. There's Mark Ashley Films, who's amazing. There's Graps on Film. These guys are all incredible what they do, and we all offer a different style to what people perceive as wrestling production, wrestling videography. But yeah, I don't get nervous at all about videography, even for the big deals. I'm just like, whatever. So because I know I'm going to deliver. It's going to be a good day at the office. I'm not bulletproof, but I am at a stage where I'm like, yeah, it's really hard for me to fuck this up at this point. Like I know what I'm doing and I deliver it. You can see that. The proof is in the pudding in the presentation. And I maintain the fact that I won't name him. He was at the show, and obviously he was an important part of the show in his own right, a proper legend of our business. And I asked him for feedback after the show. I said, you watched me wrestle, and then you had the opportunity to obviously, be a part of the main show. And obviously you see my videography now. And he sent me this glowing message about how he was amazed that someone like me could captivate an audience like I do as a wrestler, despite not being necessarily how a wrestler should look. Um, and he was amazed at the fact I could do that, do videography to the standard I do, and do commentary to the standard. He said, I've never seen anybody who can do all three of those jobs to a really high level. And it's nice to get your flowers, isn't it?
Yeah,
For
of
people
course
like
it is.
us who are getting up there in years, who know that our time is not infinite, who know that we really are, at the back end of things, just trying to essentially secure as big a legacy as we can before we call it. it is nice to be able to be recognized as somebody more than just, hey, there's that fat random guy with a camera. Who's he? People recognize my name and it's synonymous with professionalism and high quality. And I continue to churn out as much as I can, despite an incredibly difficult personal life, and that's something I'm very proud of. My personal health, my personal life is very difficult. I don't share that much because, frankly, it's only a fucking business for us. But it's that thing of, it's nice. It's nice to be recognized, and I'm sure you probably feel the same. You are recognized as that. However, it is obviously worth pointing out that despite such a magnificent and huge spectacle of what ASW South was, obviously Roger's words, not mine. Roger has something far more important this weekend. The Power Student Showcase. It's not his words, by the way. I'll throw him under the bus because I'm being a cunt. But the bottom line is, no, like, at the end of the day, this is an entirely different prospect and a different surrounding for you. You make I believe, your professional wrestling debut at the Student Showcase number 6. So, see, they're always one behind us, aren't they? Even with the student showcases. Yeah, grow up, Chris. No, I'm joking. I can hear fucking Twitch from here, like priming his world's biggest chop at my already destroyed chest. Yeah, you had the opportunity to tag with his son again, which is very, very cool. The Season Syndicate make their debut at Kapow this weekend against no idea. Yeah, sorry, I was going to say the big technique ones, but yeah, no, it's pretty joking. That's fine. They're not Sam Spartan, are they? Let's just say that much. So that's a real man. Nah, they're good lads. They seem to certainly have the potential to be a big standout. I've got to be honest. Like, people are going to say, "Of course, you're going to say this because your friends are in this match." I think this is the most intriguing match on the card. And it's also the one that has the potential to completely steal the show because it's 4 people who have already got quite a number of years of experience behind them and have big show experience and potential. Unlike some of the other matches where every match has very talented, very capable individuals, very exciting, students that you want to see, especially the main event, Triple Threat, which, I would have made such a raucous highlight package for it if I didn't think it was going to be any good. I really am excited about that match, and I'm invested in it. I love all 3 of the students in that match. They're like almost like surrogate children, bless them. But for me, I'm sitting here thinking, see, Syndicate gets a chance to prove once again. Excited about making a debut at Power this Sunday?
Yes, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's always nice when you be able to walk in knowing that you got decent opponents. That's always a massive help. Yeah, I just it's felt like it's been a little bit of a long time coming to make the debut because I've been training for a while with them alongside All Star, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Another chance to teach my son is always great, for however long I'm going to be able to do that for. So, however long I can hold him back.
He needs it, fucking gobshite. No, I'm joking. For anyone wondering or anyone who's interested in coming to see it, it's at the Hedge End Social Club this Sunday. Doors open at 2. Show starts at prompt 2:30 p.m. Tickets are very affordable as well. I highly recommend checking them out at Power Wrestling on social media. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be doing photography and a little bit of videography as well for that show, which is fun. Always fun. Like, some people are going to be like, "Oh, you bet you wish you were on it." Without sounding arrogant, I don't care as much. I'm just happy that my friends are on it, and I'm happy that I get to witness that and also lend my ability. One thing that's really underrated and underestimated about And Media is how dedicated I am to making sure that And Media has a hand in helping elevate people on their way. I was thinking about this today. There's a very good chance that if, so God forbid, an individual that we might know moves on from ASW South to a bigger place like a TNA or even a WWE, it's that thing of there's a good potential that my footage or photography might be seen on WWE television. They might be like, this is what this guy or this woman's all about. Check out this footage of them from the indies. Where it's high enough quality, they can be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to use that. Especially someone at ASW South, for instance, or even Kapow, if I was doing enough of their shows. their footage and their career is going to be synonymous with them when they move up to the next level. There's a potential to do that. And I think one of the most rewarding things that you can do in wrestling, if you're not being an active wrestler, which I do as well, not as much as I would like, and I do train hard, but for me, like being a videographer, being an MC or a commentator or whatever it might be, having that opportunity to help push and elevate and convey how big a star this person has the potential to be. Tate Mayfair's is a good example with that. Must have commentated on well over 100 Tate Mayfair's matches and probably captured the same. And for me, I'm sitting here thinking he will at some point be on a mainstream TV outlet. He will be a big star. And I will always be very happy in the sense of knowing that I did my very best to help elevate him and help drive him towards that goal. I was never a hindrance to him. I think one of the biggest issues in wrestling is that a lot of people still have that old school mentality of protect your spot, and I must hinder somebody from that opportunity. I'm not interested in hindering anyone from their success, whether I like them or absolutely fucking despise. There are a lot of people who despise me in this business. There are a few people I fucking hate. But overwhelmingly, because I'm not a politician. I've never been one to kind of hide away from what I think of certain people in wrestling or what I think of certain wrestling promotions or their behavior. And you know what? If people ask me, I'll give them an answer. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I've never heard you slag off so and so." But ask me a question about them, then I'll tell you what I think. Simple as that. That's why I did the shoot interview, for fuck's sake. But I take great pride in the fact that whether I like a person or not, my professional outlet and my professional abilities and my creative abilities are there to help elevate somebody, help push them towards a better goal. And it's nice to know that I have actually had the opportunity to capture and hopefully help elevate people who are now on TV on a regular basis. And in retrospect, when those guys come away from the mainstream TV, like an EC3 or an Eric Young, who, by the way, are still mainstream, they're just not on biggest platform. Those guys, when you get a chance to work with them, that's kind of also badge of honor. It's also almost like a bouquet of flowers. It's a nod to say, hey, I trust you enough to go into a room with an EC3, and cut a promo for him or direct his promo for him and give him some motivational direction to cut promos for guys in TNA and to help, record television for these promotions and things of that nature. That's pretty fucking cool. I don't take that lightly. But as you know, I'm also incredibly disgruntled and angry and old. So, I hate everything and I'm just like, I should be doing more. I'm always going to be that way. But I never, ever, ever take for granted that, especially after this mini stroke, I am of the opinion that life is extremely fleeting. So, don't waste time, begrudging other people's success, spend more time trying to build your own. It's probably the best thing I can give you in terms of awards. So, but yeah, no, I'm very proud of what we did at the last dance. Thought it was amazing. I'm also very proud, from a complete kayfabe shattering sense that I'll always have the privilege of being able to say I wrestled with my best friend. It's very fucking cool. So I won't take that for granted for the rest of my life. Even if he was tagging with complete goober. Uh, she's a lovely girl, by the way. She's got a bright future. Just keep working on, sweetheart. But yeah, like it's nice. It's nice to know that we're making good memories as we get to the back end of things, because I kind of hope that me and you are going to be like 60 years old and miserable and like getting on this podcast still. Like, fucking Brock Lesnar Jr., what a roided freak. Fucking grow up. But like, do you remember the good old days when John Cena had 5 moves? Now these fucking kids have 50 moves. Like, that's what I'm hoping for, is to be a disgruntled old prick still yelling at a camera, probably in virtual reality at that point, about how much I fucking hate the current product of AEW, which will probably be the overlord and overwhelming #1 favorite at that point, because nobody knows any better. Dear, oh dear. Fun stuff. Roger, is there anything you want to add before we wrap up the podcast?
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, actually. It's been nice for us to kind of have this tail end of it where we've chatted about our successes as myself as a referee and your videography, and how we both feel about our respective, fields, what we do and contribute in wrestling. That's been nice.
Yeah, we don't get a chance to really, because we're people that we're interwoven, aren't we, into the fabric of what professional wrestling is, to a point, and we're not in that position where we're front and center for everyone to see. We're the people who help make, the product, which people see, people front and center of. We're not the people there. We're not the guys on the poster, for instance, not for the most part. And, I think I've been on one poster in my career. It's pretty cool. And that's only because the boss man wanted me on it. And I never ever felt like I earned that either. But for me, I'm just kind of like, it's just nice to be able to kind of sit down with your best mate and talk about what you've done, as opposed to just yelling all the time about what everyone else is doing, because that's pretty much 99% of our career is what are we doing to help the other people look good, as
Mm.
opposed to what are we doing so that we can look good. So it's nice to have that spotlight, and I'm, like I say, grateful. If not slightly disgruntled. I'm always going to be slightly angry about it. Very militant. I could hear average, not your average Joe Dell from here going, fuck's sake. Just never, ever fucking happy with anything. I'm like, no, I'm fucking not, Joe. And I want you in a match as well before you go running off into the big sunset with your big money stars. Now you're Redmond's favorite. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, that'll be it, I guess, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to follow Roger Sears, obviously you can check him out, Roger Sears Pro Wrestler on Instagram. He's also got a Facebook page as well, where you can see where he's going to be next. Like I say, if you are in the Hampshire region or somewhere close to it and fancy the trek, Hedge End Social Club this Sunday. It's going to be a banger. Doors open at 2 o'clock. Should be a very exciting time. 6 loaded matches, including a huge over-the-top rope raging rumble, which I do believe will also feature the Sears Syndicate. So I think double duty for the Sears Syndicate on
Yep.
Sunday. Very proud indeed to win. Small boys, hopefully, dispatch the BTEC New was and crack on and also become the final two in the run. Should be a good laugh. That's going to stick, isn't it? That's going to stick. So I don't give a fuck about heat. I just manufacture heat at this point. If I haven't got it, I'll find it somewhere. I'll start a fire anyway, honestly. Legit, I could start a fire in the Arctic Circle, mate. I'm that bad for this. But yeah, make sure you check out Roger Sears. Roger Sears, thank you very much for joining us at the Wrestle Plug, mate. A quiet one, just the two of us this evening.
Yes. Thanks very much for having me.
My pleasure. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow me on social media, don't. It's a terrible, terrible decision, and you will regret it for the rest of your lives. For some ungodly reason, if you do want to follow my work media, that's And Media, AND Media, Aaron Nix Design Media across all social media platforms. Check that out if you are so inclined. And don't forget, commissions are always open. Our books are never closed. We're always creating work for whether you be a big star or the next up and coming star or even a complete nobody. We can make you into a star. That's what we do. We certainly help you on your way. That's basically the whole point of our media, is to help make everybody the biggest stars possible without breaking their bank balance in the process. Thank you very much for watching the Wrestle Plug. None of you have got this far. I'm pretty sure there's like one person watching, probably Scott. All right, how you doing? You look lovely in the dress, by the way. And yeah, I look forward to catching you guys in about 6 months' time when I can be asked to record another podcast. Bye.